welcome everybody to the Sports Affiliation NBA show. We have officially started round 2 of the NBA playoffs. Although week 1 is not finished, we do have an important game tonight, or today, excuse me, it's not at night. So we'll get to that here in a minute. But before we do that, let's all just give an introduction to everybody. We'll go clockwise for me. So JR, Rico, then Evan. JR, how are you today, man?
Hey, buenos dias, my friends, mi amigos. It's Cinco de Mayo, so if you guys are getting, drink on or whatever, or if you are celebrating that old age battle, hey, whatever you're doing, just remember locking on Game 7. How y'all doing this morning?
I love it, man. I love it. Rico, how are you doing this morning?
What's good, man? Feeling good. It's always a good day when there's NBA basketball on. The playoffs are running rampant right now, and it's a great thing to see. Unfortunately, my team is no longer in the race, but at the same time, you still got a lot of great games going on throughout the rest of this postseason, and it should be a fun one. And I'm happy to be on talking basketball with you guys. So,
always a pleasure talking with you. I was looking, how many OTB episodes did we get to, man? Were you at 50 or were you just short of 50?
It was. I'd have to go back and look. It was quite a bit. Like, it was starting to rack up for a little bit. So
yeah, it was almost a full year, I think. So, and Evan, of course, you were part of that as well. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good, man. Got called into work, so trying to work on some basketball and some real work at the same time. But all is well. No Lakers, but hey, a couple days removed of Darvin Ham being fired, so there's still Laker news and good news at that. So.
Yeah, hey, we're going to get to that pretty soon. But before we do that, I do want to say, as a first-generation Mexican-American, Cinco de Mayo, it is just a battle won over Napoleon, right? It wasn't like anything other significant. It just Napoleon was out, like, kicking 3 continents' ass at that time. And they got a battle. They won. And oddly enough, just real quick, nobody cares, but I think my great-grandfather was, like, part of Napoleon's army, forced under Napoleon's army. He fled, and that's like how my whole Geno tree started somehow. So I don't know the history of that, but he was smart enough to get the hell out of there and get into the mountains as far as he can and get away from Napoleon in that way.
Oh, we're talking about a living piece of history right now. That's
well, you're gonna have to do some. You got to do some research on that, Iggy. Do a little rabbit hole on that, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I gotta practice on mi Espanol so I can talk with the old elders of my.
There you go.
Hey, but speaking
What's
of
up,
that,
JC?
What's up, JC? Speaking of that, man, there was kind of like I hope it was like a Cinco de Mayo victory for the Minnesota Timberwolves against my Nuggets last night, and that the Nuggets go on to do what Napoleon did, which is just wipe out pretty much the southern or the central part of North America, because the Nuggets come in on like it was a good match, right? It was a really good match, and in the fourth quarter they just kind of fell apart. And Oz Reed came out and showed everybody he could be a starter in this league as a 6-man, fresh legs. Made that bank 3 with the time, like the shot clock expiring. That was pretty painful. That's when I started to realize, okay, they got Lady Luck on their side tonight. It's going to take some work. JC, Ant went crazy, man. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I know he had over 40 points, put up over a 40-burger in the first game of the second round. Cat got hot in the third quarter. Mike Conley got hot in the second half. They played a really good second half. And it became pretty obvious to me what the Minnesota Timberwolves are trying to do is they're going to say anybody but Jokic that tries to score in the paint is going to get denied. Aaron Gordon, going to get denied. Michael Porter Jr., going to get denied. Jamal Murray, you're not going to get off the glass like you have been. And then, really – Kentavious Caldwell-Pope doesn't drive too much. His game is already kind of a spot-up shot. But you could see he didn't have the confidence. He backed off his threes until the second half. He made one finally. But that, to me, is what the Timberwolves game plan looked like. Like, they're gonna shut down the interior of the paint. We're going to let Jokic score in there. But all the rest of you are going to have to shoot jump shots. We're not going to let you come in the paint and get easy buckets like y'all did against L.A. We're not going to allow you to just have that free reign. And it was kind of back and forth. Whenever there was a missed shot, both teams were pushing the tempo up the court. Both of them realized that's their opportunity because when Denver got its defense set, Minnesota was in trouble. They could not score that effectively. Once Minnesota got its half-court defense set, Denver could not score effectively. So both of these teams are practicing great half-court defense, getting it set. They're both built by the same person, essentially. So, say what you want. Everybody made fun of the Rudy Gobert trade last year. We were all clowning it. But it was built to beat one team, the Denver Nuggets. And it could do it. I think this is going to be a marvelous series. I don't think Ant's going to get 40 points every series. I know everybody's ready to anoint him. And, personally, I've been saying it for like a year. He's the best American-born player. Like, he is. He's the best. He's going to win an MVP in the next 2 or 3 years. Get ready to see that because they're going to be that good. But that's kind of what I saw. I saw a little meltdown. Like, people want to say Denver's bench wasn't good. Not really. Reggie Jackson was like plus 15, I think, when he was in the game. Plus 16, the old man getting after it. Christian Braun was in there getting rebounds. I think he packed. Pretty sure he packed Anthony Edwards on a play. So Peyton Watson came in and was like the leading rebounder at one point. So I think the bench played well. It's going to come down to the starters. Y'all saw Jokic. He was out for what, like 4 minutes of that game, 5 minutes of that game. He's going to have to play the whole game. But, the true story is Reggie Jackson's got a sprained ankle. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has a sprained ankle. And Jamal Murray has a sprained calf, which is like keeping Porzingis and Giannis. Theirs are a little bit more severe, but they're keeping them out. And, Jamal he played his 59th playoff game, I believe, or something like 49th playoff game. And he did not – he was held to his first scoreless first half. So those are going to be some major obstacles to overcome. I'm not really panicking. We all knew this was going to be a good series. I saw Minnesota win in Denver. I saw Denver win in Minnesota. These things are going to continue to happen. But I think it was a great game. Until the fourth quarter, I was disappointed. But what are y'all's thoughts on that? Whoever would like to pick up on it.
All right, so I'm gonna quickly jump in here real quick. First of all, shout out to Minnesota for finally showing us how defense turns into offense, because that interior defense, again, is what the entire Laker Nation had been praying for last offseason. So we're showing again why if you funnel the offense to Jokic and keep everyone else out of it, that's exactly how you can have better returns on value for turning defense into offense than whatever the Lakers were trying to run. Again, when you sit there and double on Jokic, give help on Jokic, you turn Jokic into a passer, the offense for Denver increases, because then you have guys who know their spots, know how to set up, and are able to run free. When you get to the one-on-ones and with a better defense like Minnesota has, that goes to show how. And you mentioned, Iggy, that for the first time that Murray had the 0 points in the first half. Actually, it is two things. Yes, it's definitely the health, but Murray's been having a subpar first half for the entire playoffs. So this is actually just more of the demon kind of rearing its ugly head in this game, because you're doing this against a better defensive team. He's going to have more games like this until he's 100%. So shout out to Minnesota for showing us exactly what we've been asking for this entire series.
I agree. Anybody else have something to say about this game?
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. I mean, hey, props to Minnesota, right? I mean, and this is what playoff basketball is about. I mean, Iggy, you talk about, Mike Malone being the coach that he is. Well, he's going to get a chance this series because it looks like it's going to be a little tougher this year, and I think the Nuggets are the best team. But Mike Malone's going to have to make some adjustments, right? He's going to have to get Murray going in the first half. Murray's going to have to be an assist machine for this team. Like, I think he needs to lead the series in assist. For Denver to become, who they want to be in this series. And I think they will. I mean, we also got to keep it real. Minnesota needed at least one of these, and I think you got to get the first one. But, a little disheartening as a Denver fan. It's 84-84, and the T-Wolves go on an 18-5 run on your home court. It's a little shock to what the Nuggets are used to. But big picture, it's one game out of 7. I expect the Nuggets to make the adjustments. I believe, and even if it does happen, it will be an outlier. I don't think against good teams, you can't score 40-plus points for one guy every game and win a series. Like Brunson did it against a bad team, but we don't see that. And the deeper we get in the playoffs, that's a lot harder to do. And I don't know if Ant can do that for 7 games. And it's not a knock on him. It's just what we've seen over basketball history. That's just not how you win series. But if Naz Reid and Mike Conley and they get a game or two from Jaden McDaniels and Towns and Ant do their thing every night, that's what it's going to take, right? If 3, 4, 5 guys are scoring points and that number one defense, like you mentioned, JR, defense is for real. They are a number one defense. They're not getting these easy looks at the basket like they gave up, like the Lakers gave up. This is a number one D. So, I mean, a heck of a game for Minnesota. I can't wait to see the adjustments. I mean, obviously we're in for a dogfight. I think, those role players got to step up for Minnesota, but Ant did his thing. I mean, mad props to them. I was definitely surprised, man. That plus money Denver money line let me down last night live. It's usually a gold mine, but last night it was not. But props to Minnesota. And you talked about the Gobert trade, and it's Mike Conley that is the guy that fits with Rudy Gobert, having a real point guard, something Phoenix does not have, a real point guard to run an offense. That's a big deal too. And man, props to Minnesota. So I think that's all I got there. Excited.
They definitely wanted that.
Real quick,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, props. Yeah, like I said, shout out to Minnesota. Ant's going to be like pretty much that next man up. People got to start realizing that if they haven't already. The defensive presence of Rudy Gobert and Cat being able to throw them on Jokic is like something that's going to be a key part of the series. We talk about defense and everything like that. One of the things that I was hoping for with the Lakers is they were going to find a way to get another big man to put in there with AD at some point. I mean, honestly, also we got like Jackson Hayes, we have Rui and some of these other guys. But they're not that same caliber of defender that AD is. Back when we won the championship in the bubble in 2020, we had Dwight Howard there as well, who was like a mammoth of a defensive player. Obviously, he's a DPOY, one of the best defensive players that ever played in the league. But when you have bodies to throw with Jokic like that and just kind of be able to like limit him offensively in terms of like getting to the bucket and even some of these other guys, it's going to make a big difference. And it's kind of going back to what JR said. If he's able to facilitate an offense as well, it's going to be deadly for them. Obviously, they predicate themselves on being a half-court team, as the Lakers try to do in their series. Like, if you're able to get on the break and kind of push that ball out, you can really wreak some havoc and just kind of make sure that you're able to push that limit, especially if you got a guy like Murray who's kind of dealing with an injury. And that's kind of what you alluded to earlier, is some of these injuries are going to be interesting to kind of see how they deal with what's going on throughout the series. But like we all said, it's the first game. I feel like this is going to go pretty deep. This may or may not go 7. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. But at the same time, it's like you said, Denver's probably going to find a way to make adjustments. But this just kind of goes to show that as you are a champion one year, it is extremely hard to try to go back and repeat the next year. So, I mean, you got to take that into account as well.
Yeah, we haven't had one this decade. I want to give a welcome in Roxanne. Roxanne, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hey, how are you? What did you think about that game last night? Thank you for joining us.
Well, I kind of was telling everybody we got to be a little nervous about Minnesota. They are good. They are really good. Their bench is really deep. Our bench is not performing right now, obviously. Naz Reid just won the 6th Man of the Year award. Like, come on, you guys. They're not the Lakers. We needed to put a little more effort in. I know Murray's hurt. I'm really sad about that. He had 4 days off. I was hoping that would help him a little bit. It did not. I'm not worried though. I woke up not worried this morning.
Yeah, I woke up not worried. I knew we weren't going to sweep this series, but I did know that I didn't expect them to come in and win game 1. But they had more rest than we did. Anthony Edwards was actually like pretty dust most of the second half. He was pretty gassed. He was bending over. He had his hands on his hips. He was sucking wind in that second half. And he admitted it at his post game. He was like, "Yeah, it's a tough place to play. I'm just really glad we came in and got this win," because really it was Mike Conley and Naz Reid that really pushed him over in that second cat when he went on that 10-point run to start the third quarter. But I'm not too worried about it either. I think Tuesday it almost becomes a must-win game, but that game is going to start at 9:00 Central, which the Minnesota, 8 o'clock our time, 9 o'clock for Minnesota time. I think they're going to have a tough time, even though they're staying in Denver. They're fully adjusted. I mean, part of that biological clock is, a late game, and Denver's played a lot of late games actually in round 1. So I think we're more equipped for that, the urgency of it. And like Evan said, Coach Malone as well, he's going to have to step up and show that he's one of the better coaches out there. I don't know if y'all saw that. J.R. Smith said we would have won a championship too if we had Coach Malone instead of Coach Carl, and Coach Carl's like, we could go to therapy together, Jr. So that was
Yeah,
pretty.
you gotta like that. George Carl likes to play into all the stuff that gets said, though. He usually fires back and has some fun with it. So,
Someone shut that man's Twitter down, please. Just for like this series.
He's not gonna do it.
Hey man, I'm glad he's living it up. Let's go ahead and switch over, though. We do have a game 2 to talk about. A game 7, our first game 7. That is on deck today. Orlando Magic, very young team. Everybody's talking about Ant. He could have that seat as the best American player for a few years. But Paolo Banchero is just so much bigger than Ant, and so much. He's still growing. He's only 21 years old, guys. He's going to get broader. He's going to get taller. He's going to get smarter. Like all those, like he's still developing his frontal lobe. You know what I'm saying? So it's all there for there to be there. You know,
he ain't get his alcohol weight yet.
But they do have a tough test against Cleveland. Being in the Northwest Division, Roxanne and I, we watch Minnesota, we watch Oklahoma City, we watch Utah Jazz, and part of that is watching Donovan Mitchell, who hasn't won a series since his rookie year with Utah. I think he had a chance to put away Denver, and he didn't. Jamal Murray happened. But Jared Allen, I don't know if Jared Allen is in or out this game. I think that's majorly affected the Cleveland Cavaliers. Evan Mobley's good, but Jared Allen's just he's a dog out there. And then Darius Garland's up there, but Suggs is playing well. Wagner's playing well. Orlando looks good. Rico, JR, why don't one of y'all two please start us out with this, and then we'll just bounce this topic around and how y'all see Game 7 going today.
JR, you can go ahead, man.
I have been pleading with the world, imploring y'all at TSA, all y'all watchers, to watch this series, okay? Today settles the whole season. The series for the whole season between these two teams is tied at 5-5. How crazy is that? They came into this series tied up. Cleveland got their first 2 at home. Orlando came back and got their 2 at home. They got their get back. It's been a whole back and forth series. It has been the late game performance of Donovan Mitchell versus the late game defense of the backcourt for Orlando. And it has been a barn burner. I'm telling you guys, this is, if you guys want reminiscent 90s basketball put in today's era with a little bit more action, watch this series. If you guys want some crazy bets, you want some crazy props, watch this series. If you guys just want something that's going to come down to the wire, a lot of what New York Philly was giving you, watch this series, damn it. I'm telling you guys. Good. Watch this series. I've been telling everybody. I've been screaming to the world. Watch Orlando Cleveland. It's better than you think. It is way better than you think.
Thank you. And I think
if you need eyes on the future of what the NBA is going to look like, of what some of these guys are going to do playing together, you trying to figure out what these small market teams are doing, watch this series. Watch this series. Okay?
I'm gonna jump in there real quick. I was one of the ones to be quick to say, I said this a couple weeks ago, and I feel like it is a possibility. It's like, I think it was something along the lines of, am I crazy to think that the Orlando Magic can make an Eastern Conference Finals run? That was when they were about the 3 seed or something like that. This was a few weeks ago before the regular season ended, and then they dropped to the 5. So now they're playing Cleveland in this 4-5 matchup, and they got a Game 7 today. They would have to play Boston in the next round. So that's why I'm like, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm a little bit hesitant to say it now. But that being said, Orlando is one of the better young teams in the league right now. You look at this roster from top to bottom; it's got a bunch of great players. We got Paolo. You look at Jonathan Isaac. You look at just the whole roster as a whole, man. Like I said, it's young. They got a great coach in Jamal Mosley, who was my pick to win Coach of the Year. Obviously, he didn't win it, but I still feel like a lot of people got to give him props. This series has been a grind, like to the teeth, like every single game. And I was under the impression that if Orlando would have been able to get one of those first couple of games in Cleveland, then I feel like obviously the series would have been over. But just the fact that they're able to find a way to scrap, they're one of the better defensive teams while they're still being so young. And this is one of those teams that is like you look at them for the future, like JR said. Don't sleep on these. Don't sleep on this team. Don't sleep on what Paolo and them are doing over in Orlando. And I'm debating on whether or not I want to say no business, but I'm gonna sit here. I'm on the show right now, so I'll do it. If they win today, I still have a somewhat reasonable thinking that they may have a shot to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I understand they would have to play Boston in the next round, but looking at how Kristaps Porzingis' injury is at this current moment,
he's not going to play this series, I don't think.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like Orlando may still have a chance to do it, but I understand they got to win today. You were talking about Jared Allen. He's a game time decision, so we're not going to know until the actual game starts. But if Orlando wins it today, you heard it here first.
They're dangerous. They rebound a lot, so they got a lot of things working for them. Evan, you got anything to say about this game real quick? And then Roxanne will
I got a few things to say. Orlando might win today because Jared Allen doesn't play. I mean, if Jared Allen's in this series, the series is probably already over. But that's basketball. That's sports. I mean, he hasn't been able to play. And that man better not be able to walk because you're not playing Game 5 and Game 6 of a playoff series for a team that hasn't won a playoff series without LeBron in 30 years. And he probably is because he was probably the hardest playing Cavalier the first 4 games. Like he gave effort all game long. So, I mean, he must be in some massive pain. But they need Jared Allen to win this series. Him and Mobley together bring that physicality that they need each other for that. That's an advantage in this series. I don't think that either one of these teams has a chance to get by Boston, even without Porzingis. The gap is there. I know JR talks about it. Orlando's offense cannot beat Boston in a 7-game series. There's not this year. They get a point guard in the offseason. I think this team's going to be scary for years to come. You know, Rico said Jamal Mosley, shout out, alumni of my high school. Dude was a baller, a couple CIF championships. Kid could play, man, in the 90s, dude. I watched him growing up. He was a stud. And he's a hell of a coach, and he's doing big things in Orlando. But we talked about a couple weeks ago, this is an ugly 90s series. It's proven to be that, like JR said. Obviously, not having Porzingis is big for the Celtics, but I think there's just still a gap there. But we got to get there first. I think Orlando can win this game on the road with no Allen. We saw Mitchell drop a 50-burger, and they still couldn't find a way to get it done. I know that was on the road. He's going to have to be just as good today. But, you know, does a guy like Max Strus show up and hit 4 or 5 threes, right? Does somebody like, you know, Georges Yang come off the bench and do that? That's what role players do at home. So I give that slight edge to Cleveland because Orlando lacks that true point guard to really facilitate, and not having that on the road just might be the X factor. But I think it's going to be a hell of a game. They were in the last one without Jared Allen in Game 5. So I'm going to give the edge to Cleveland. And looking ahead, I don't think either of these teams can take down the Celtics. I just think there's still a gap there.
I believe it. Deontay not here to defend himself, but Roxanne, do you have anything to say about this match?
I'm looking at numbers. You know, I enjoy basketball, but I don't have a dog in this fight at all. So it's fun to watch, and it's fun to gamble on these kind of games. He just brought up Suggs and Strus. They're 3-point overs. I would definitely take on both of them. It's 1.5 on Strus, and Suggs is also 1.5. They're not great odds, but it's going to happen. Whoever wins, again, I do not think is going to be Boston. I do not think Boston is amazing. I do not think they are the greatest team ever, but I don't think whoever plays them is going to beat them in the next series. It's going to be great tonight, or this game in an hour. What is it, an hour and a half, 2 hours? It's going to be, like he said, you guys need to be watching this game because it's going to be good.
I'm trying to tell y'all.
Yeah, I've been watching. I've been watching it on NBA TV. You know, I've been a pretty big basketball head this year. Orlando has the worst road record in the NBA right now. I think they've only won 18 games on the road. You know, Cleveland had the second worst. They after they lost their third game at Orlando, they're at 500 on the season right now. So we'll have to see. That's just being young. When you're a young team, you expect a team to be bad on the road.
Can I add one more nugget to this? No,
go ahead.
Just something I want to point out. Like that wasn't even intended. I hate the fact that some of these, like, this is the playoffs we're talking about, and you have games on NBA TV. Like, I understand what the purpose of NBA TV is. But
don't get me started on that.
You need everybody to be watching these games. It's not just only certain people that can watch NBA TV. Like, look, these networks, y'all got to do something. Like, I understand the NFL.
I'm just going to interject really quick. If you have HBO Max, they're playing a lot of the games also. Like, I watched so many games on HBO Max.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Go
they
up to
are.
the top where it says sports, find sports. A lot of games are on there.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot on HBO Max as well, Roxanne.
It's just
but-
ridiculous. We're in the
It
playoffs.
is ridiculous. I agree.
We have to go to NBA TV. Like, if all these other networks are fighting for NFL games, why can't the NBA do the same? We got all this.
Yep.
Y'all got all this money. ESPN, ESPN2, ABC.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you guys why right now. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. Small market.
Yeah, they got pushed out by Philadelphia, New York. Like they were going to give Philadelphia, New York that prime time spot. But it's still inexcusable. I agree because it is the playoffs. Like we got fans. There's Cleveland fans. I see Cleveland fans everywhere I go. I see that maybe it was the LeBron effect of our generation, but I see that every time I see like sports fans. So it's not fair for them to be pushed out. I'm a junkie. I'm going to make sure I can watch just about everything I can, or at least listen to it while I'm working. I got to be able to have one of those two things. But we are going to get some more bets, Roxanne. I do want to say, Suggs could do it again. He hit 1.5 threes for me in my bet in the first quarter in their last game. So look for him to step it up. He is a 3-year veteran. He's kind of one, believe it or not, that's one of the vets of that team. Besides Joe Ingles coming out with the dad bod, fouling away, hacking and slacking, baby. But let's go ahead and get to the meat of today. Western Conference. We've got a lot to break down from the first round. I'm going to go ahead and read off the topics, and y'all just we'll get the flow going kind of naturally. I know we're going to have a lot of Laker talk naturally between y'all three. But Lakers and Chargers, or excuse me, Lakers and Clippers. Lakers. Hey man, it said LAC. I'm getting back in. I'm getting back in football mind when I see the LAC.
They already kicked them out of their own spot.
Hey, but no, both LA teams gone. The first time in 18 years we don't have LeBron, KD, or Curry in the second round. Ham got fired. Tyronn Lue says he's pretty content in the Clippers. Are we buying that? Was that Westbrook's last game? I don't know if it was his last game. I think it was definitely his last game as a Clipper. I heard there was a lot of turmoil in that locker room behind that. LeBron James, is he staying or going? Is KD staying or going? What is Phoenix going to do? Do you see them getting any better? Those are kind of the topics at hand. Why don't we go? We'll let Roxanne, why don't you go first, and we'll sweep it back to the Lakers after this.
Okay, what did you want me to start with? I'm sorry. I was listening to you and not paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing. I was laughing at the the Chargers.
Yeah, I think that got us all. Just what do you think about KD and LeBron? Are either one of them going to stay in Phoenix, or do you think they'll stay in Los Angeles? You think they're going anywhere? What do you think is going to happen with them?
LeBron, don't get me started on that. I mean, it's just it's always drama. It's always drama with him. I don't care anymore where he goes. He's not LeBron of 10, 15 years ago. He's still amazing. I cannot deny that. I will not tell Lakers fans he sucks, because he absolutely does not. He's just selfish. I don't. No, we're not going there. Do I think he's going to stay? I think he's going wherever his son's going. I think he's made this work out in his favor to where that's what's going to happen. And I don't know where his son's going.
Yeah, none of us do. None of us do. Right. I mean, I think that's agree. So what does anybody else? Evan, you got anything to say about LeBron or the Lakers in general?
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. So often, I mean, most of these narratives that we get are just from whatever media source that wants to talk about it. I mean, LeBron really hasn't said anything, even about Bronny James. It's all just what we're getting fed. So who knows? I mean, he might want to be a Laker. I think he does want to play with his son. I think we know that, like Roxanne said. I don't think there's a doubt that he doesn't want to play with his son. But coming out saying that I'm, demand to go to the same spot, this and that, I don't know. And he's not the same player. But I know for the Lakers, if they're going to keep LeBron, they got to figure out how to be better defensively, and they got to figure out how to find some other guys to come in. They've tried to surround him with shooters every year, but it hasn't worked. They're not good enough to make it. They might have been able to get as far as until they saw Denver, which if they avoided them in the first round might have been the Western Conference Finals, but it would have been a facade on the need that this team needs better players. Like another Western Conference Finals run, I think would have been like pulling the wool over our eyes, as if they don't need to fix a lot of issues. And so it's kind of good that they got bounced. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it's nice they got rid of Ham. They better not bring in Ty Lue, because he looked like he has no idea how to coach a playoff series for the Clippers. if we want to talk about the Clippers, I mean, putting Westbrook in the corner instead of having him handle the ball and be vintage Westbrook with assists, creating for a team that couldn't find a way to score 100 points in almost every game. I don't know what Ty Lue was doing, man. So I don't want that guy on the Lakers sideline. Budenholzer looks to be a top candidate. I'd love to have him come in and be the Lakers coach. I think he should have never left Milwaukee. We've had that conversation. And KD, I think it depends on what Phoenix does, right? Bringing in Beal was not the right move, but they are upside down. They need a real point guard too. Vogel expressed that, but they didn't want to listen to their head coach. They went and, made different moves, and then they got swept. So it's hard to really speak on facts on what's going to happen with those guys,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's I don't know. KD needs to go. The Suns are just going to have to.
Where though?
OKC, Miami Heat. I think there's a
that
place.
$50 million contract, dude, making $50 million was taking 16 shots in games 3 and 4, bro. Like, take over the game, man. He finally did the last game, but he disappeared, man.
Yeah, well, he vocally said that he was displeased with the offensive game plan. I mean, he could go to Orlando. Orlando has so much money. They have so much money sitting there. Like
but
he could go there.
Point guard,
no.
So I don't know about that. So I don't know.
They don't have any draft picks. They don't have a first-round draft pick till 2030,
I think.
Yeah.
So when?
2030.
2030?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. But Orlando needs a point guard. Durant would just kind of clog up what they got going on, I feel like. As good as he is, I don't think he fits Orlando.
No.
I mean, they could get a point guard. They could get a point guard in KD.
I got a destination for y'all.
Sure.
All right.
Where?
Chicago.
Ooh.
Explain yourself. I got to.
All right. All right. Chicago went. Thanks to Kobe White, of course. The slight health of Alex Caruso and a couple things here and there. Chicago barely hung on to be able to get into the play-in tournament. But really, this was a lottery team as soon as injuries hit at the beginning of the season, just like last year. So these guys are built for an overhaul. They've been ready for an overhaul. They need to ship out ball. They're probably going to need a destination for Kobe. Caruso I know he re-upped, but he's probably going to be looking for someplace to go. Guys can be on the move for this team, which means that they're going to have the space and cap for Kevin Durant to be able to rebuild whatever. If they keep Kobe and they decide to have him as the starting point guard, great. There you go. That's the start of a long series of things to allow KD to do the thing that he was trying to do in Brooklyn, which was take a franchise which hasn't seen or sniffed the playoffs in a long while, which is missing a superstar, back into the playoffs, keep his legacy alive, something that we talked about at length for last week's show, that and everything else. And again, you can sit here, you can make a ton of moves through Chicago. Teams were at the trade deadline this season ready, slobbering, looking very, very much like predators at Chicago's roster, saying what they could trade, nickel and dime this team, and try to get players to Chicago. Well, Chicago, ball's in your court. You literally have a superstar sitting right there who is unhappy with the way things are run. You have a franchise who doesn't know absolutely what they're doing in Matt Ishbia trying to run this team into the ground, thinking that if the more talent, the
Did we lose you, JR? You want to go ahead?
Heck of a skill, though. It's like,
let's see. Well, I mean, I don't know. Chicago, it could happen. I don't know what their draft picks are. The reason I said OKC is because they got so many draft picks available to them that they could dish off, and then
they could be like a full circle moment type of thing.
Yeah, be a full circle moment for KD. I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he wants to be in Arizona. I mean, I think the state laws there are more conducive to like, taxes and everything. But, the weather's okay in the winter, But I don't know. I don't know if that's the only way I see them busting it up. But, Rico, why don't you go ahead and just segue us into the Lakers, man, and your thoughts on thoughts on any of it, man.
Yeah, all right. I've been kind of thinking about this because I know JR had some good stuff going on, but I'm going to try to go back in. There's a lot of reports out there. LeBron's probably going to opt out and be a free agent for the first time since 2018, just to kind of test the waters and see what's going out. But the thing of it is, I feel like there's only but so many teams he can go to because of his asking price. I think what a lot of people are looking at is he's still trying to make money in the league. I understand he's like a billionaire, but at the same time, you still want to be able to go to a place and play well, but also get paid. So teams have to also bring that into account. And there's probably a chance that, your roster might be getting some moves in there as well just to make room for him if you're trying to pay him that much more money. At that same time, we don't necessarily know how much longer he has left in the league, maybe 1 to 2 years at that. He'll be 40 at some point next year, so you got to think about that too. So longevity is there, but Father Time is also getting rid is catching up to him. So you got to look into that too. With KD, my thing of it is this: he's got 1 year left on his contract. You still got Beal and Booker on that team. You signed Grayson Allen to an extension. There's only but so many people that they can move. I think one of the ones for sure that they are able to move is Nurkic, which obviously I know JR talked about that at one point. So he's got to go. They need a true point guard. There's a lot of holes in there, and like I said, KD maybe he's only going to be there for 1 more year before he tries to bounce and go somewhere else. After that, he's an unrestricted free agent, so we'll see how that plays out. In terms of the whole Bronny situation, a date to look out for, June 16th. That is the last day that NBA draft eligible players can withdraw the name from the pool and still retain their eligibility. So keep a lookout for that date, because I feel like LeBron's going to kind of coincide with that as well, depending on how that plays out too. So that's something to look at.
Bronny got invited to the draft. Only 82 athletes invited, and you have to go. You have to commit this year. First year, you can't just say no. I'm going to not go. So that's going to be interesting. Go ahead.
JR told me to hold off on my whole Clippers ban and stuff. So I've been waiting. I've been waiting for the day. I've been waiting for this.
Bye, y'all. Look, take over the show.
Well, no. Hold on. Here's the thing.
When your computer goes on fire, just remember, hey, this man just listened to Kendrick Lamar 10 seconds ago. Okay, so
I played Not Like Us too many times last night. So here's the thing: you have. Did we see Russell Wilson? God no. Here I'm talking about football. Russell Westbrook's last game in the NBA? I don't think so. Probably the last one in the Clippers uniform, though. Looking at this roster as well, this is pretty much their last time that they're going to be in Staples. I'm not calling it crypto. So they got their new arena that they're getting ready to go to, I believe, next year. There's still the question of Paul George. Is he going to re-sign with this team? There's some talks that he might be trying to make his way to Philly. So he's going to be out. But you also are looking at it now is you've had this quote-unquote core of PG and Kawhi for like the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. And you have nothing really to show for it. And I'm looking at Steve Ballmer and I'm looking at this roster and I'm just looking, like you were saying with Ty Lue, on Ahsoka, I said that earlier. He's probably still going to be the coach with the Clippers, but at the same time, it's like, what more can you do? Because you're probably going to lose Westbrook. You're probably going to lose PG. Kawhi, this was the healthiest he's been in the last few years, but at the same time, when it came to the playoffs, where is he to be found?
Yeah, where it was.
Nowhere. And it's the same cycle we're going through over and over and over again every single year. So it's like, at what point do you just sit here and say, okay, we got to just cut our losses and just start from scratch? But I think at the same time, as long as Ballmer and them have some resemblance of Kawhi, PG, Kawhi, Westbrook, Harden, whatever like combination you can get, they're still going to try to run it back and make it work with something. Mainly because of the fact that they're moving into a brand new arena and they want to be able to sell tickets. And if you try to blow it up before then, obviously you're not going to have a lot of people in the stands for those games, except from the opposing fan bases. So I'm looking at the Clippers. This has been a long time coming. For any and everybody that said that they had a chance at running LA, I know I shut the hell up. They never ran LA. They never have run LA. They never will run LA. I don't care if they can get the reincarnation of Michael Jordan in his prime back in the day. They are not running LA. They can't even run Staples. Like the Clippers just aren't that franchise that a lot of people tend to or that
want them to be.
That's why I know. Yeah. So at this point, I feel like this next year is going to be their last year, whatever combination of the guys they have on the team, and the next year is like, y'all got to hit that reset button.
I mean, I gotta say though, I think the Clippers get the third schedule at their own stadium, at Staples or Crypto or whatever you want to say. It was the Lakers, it was the Kings, and then it was the Clippers. So they got smashed into whatever they, they had to play a lot of weird times. They had to be on the road a lot. I mean, the Lakers had 18 days in a row that they didn't leave LA. Like, I mean, I think the Clippers getting their own stadium is a bit underestimated. And I'll keep throwing this out there. LeBron doesn't want to leave LA. I don't really care where Bronny goes. Yep. LeBron's post NBA life is in LA with production and with everything else. So I wouldn't be surprised if Paul George leaves, if Russell Westbrook leaves, perhaps Ivica Zubac leaves. And then there's enough money to bring in James and say, you don't got to leave LA, come into this new stadium with us, Maybe Kawhi gets traded off because I don't think Kawhi and LBJ are really compatible. But I think if LBJ's playing with Harden and they bring some other pieces in, the Clippers are going to be good, dude. And I know that a lot of LBJ fans don't want to hear that. I know a lot of Lakers fans don't want to hear that. But to me, that's a very realistic possibility.
All right, I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm gonna throw a couple things out there, and we got to move on because I don't want this to turn into Lakers Nuggets discussion. We got basketball to talk about. But and Pete, we're gonna get to your question in just a few, man. I mean, I talked about the Bulls earlier before my internet decided I needed to shh. Okay, that was the NBA talking, by the way, and say, hey,
it was good talk too.
Stop giving out our secrets.
Adam Silver heard you. He's like, no, we gotta put it stuff.
Adam Silver. Better learn Chinese, bro.
Okay, real quick. Phoenix is supposedly going to run it back. They're going to try this again. They're just going to try and tweak a couple things. They're going to try and go get a point guard. So keep an eye out for that. As far as the Clippers are concerned and the Lakers are concerned, just to kind of wrap this whole thing up, throw a bomb out there. Swap. Give us PG. Give us Westbrook. It is for sunset. We're not going to figure it out this season. Go ahead and give Zubac back, okay? Give us those 3 players. We'll give you LeBron James. You give us a little bit of cash.
Damn.
Done. Okay? Because Lou's going to need to do a reset eventually. Kawhi's going to have to get shipped or leave eventually. It's just not working right there. It's for either franchise. AD needs help in the middle. Boom. Solve that problem. We need some point guards. We need some guard help, maybe a little bit of scoring. PG solves that. We need that all that stuff for both teams gets solved for next year, and then that's done. And that's all 3 teams wrapped up into one. That's
I will say this real quick to wrap up before we go talk about the East Coast real quick in the first round. Since the Clippers got rid of that asshole owner, man, the new guy, he is all about winning. He is all about Mark. He's like Mark Cuban-ish, man. Like those two, in my mind, are kind of Jeannie Buss is a great owner. Let's just be honest.
She's amazing.
That. Yeah, but let Mark Cuban and what's his last name? Not Balmer, but
Balmer.
Oh, not
Steve
Balmer.
Yeah.
Oh, Donald Sterling.
Huh?
Balmer now, but before.
No, Balmer was before. Yeah.
Before.
Once they got rid, like I said, they got rid of that asshole. Like they got a guy that wants to win. They got a guy that helped tote the money to build them a new stadium, man.
Yep.
Like I think the Clippers are going to be better. I think they were way too hyped this year. As being a better, the Clippers were at one point the leading favorites to win the championship, and then the Suns were a leading favorite for a long time. Then the season began, and Denver kind of was up. Nobody was respecting Minnesota and OKC until they kind of moved up. But yeah, let's go ahead and go to the East Coast, man. 76ers, Heat, kind of could be, and Heat, Minnesota, and Heat, Milwaukee, and 76ers, man. That kind of like the powerhouses of the Eastern Conference with the MVP, with the Finals MVP, and with the Heat that have been to like more finals, I think, than anybody over this century or like the past decade and a half. So what are y'all's thoughts about them? I mean, anybody can hop in, and we'll try to keep this to about 8 minutes, so we can talk about some betting tonight and close out the show.
For sure. Let's go ahead and give my quick blurbs I had about each team. Okay, first of all, for 76ers, they just need to go ahead and retool. Go ahead and ship Buddy Hield because it's obvious that Nurse did not have a lot of use for him for this playoffs. Guy's gonna need a home. He's definitely a good scorer. He's streaky, but when he's on, he's on. Definitely have to ship Tobias Harris because the production that they got out of Tobias Harris was absolutely dick. Okay, I don't know what's happened to this guy over the last couple of seasons, but he needs to go somewhere where he could possibly spread his wings. Don't know where that's gonna go.
He's going back to Detroit.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Interesting.
I mean,
they're gonna pay.
Detroit's got the room, so they might as well do it. Okay, and then let's go on quickly to the Miami Heat. They're probably going to do the same thing as Philly because right now, whatever they're trying to do with the 3-point shot ain't working. Okay, they're on again, off again. Great defensive team, bad defensive team. They're not a 500 team, but sometimes they play like a 500 team. And I think that the culture is still there. The core is still there. The health is necessary because it seems like one player that's part of that culture gets injured at the key time, and they need to just get younger and healthier and bigger. Younger, healthier, and bigger. That's exactly what the Heat need to do. And then lastly, Milwaukee, running back.
Milwaukee, I don't know. I think Giannis has run that team into the ground. But go ahead, Roxanne. What are you about to say?
No, I was just agreeing with him. I think they should run it back too. The East Coast is tricky, is all I'll say. It's I don't think people understand the difference between the East and West Coast and how me and Iggy, we're obviously involved in the West Coast and we know what's going on. And we look over there and it's like, that's weird over there. It's different. It's not as physical. It's not as, I know what the Celtics did. I know they had the best record. I know, but look, the East is just a little softer is all I'm going to say. It's, yep. I can't explain it. What's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen with, I think Jimmy Butler over there. I don't know what's going on in Miami. They made it all the way last year. They got bounced this year, first round. I think that's a big swing. Although I've seen it happen with our Avalanche last year.
Hey, we're in the second round waiting this year, though. Waiting.
Right. And is Miami going to make it back next year? That's the question. Can they make it back next year with this core?
Yeah,
I don't think they're going very far again if they stay this way.
I agree.
Agreed. Again, the core can sustain the season. It's having the personnel available to carry them further, to not just be a team that's holding on or dependent on the opposing team having key injuries or playing below their level like Boston did that one game, or having to depend on all their players getting hot. It's like, no, all your players can't get hot. You need to have a set. I'm sorry, but Denver, the creation that Denver has for their team, what Minnesota did, that the mold's right there, guys. We're back to basketball teams being made. We're not trying to do Warriors 3.0 now. So
play ball.
Reset.
Yeah, and then Evan, Rico, go ahead, and Evan, if you're back, we'll hop in after Rico, okay?
Yeah. A couple of things, not too much. The Bucks, I'm curious as to what happens with Chris Middleton. Obviously he played his heart out, but you can see the emotion on the sideline after that last game. He's got a player option for next year, so there's a I haven't heard anything, and I'm just speculating. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a potential, like maybe sign and trade with him, and he gets shipped so the Bucks can kind of get a different piece in there to kind of help out. And that's not to say that Middleton's a bad player, but at the same time, it's like I don't know how much more he can give to this team at this point. So they may try to do that, but with Jared's point, I think they are going to run it back. It just sucks that they got hurt, at the worst possible time with Giannis and everything, and Dame wasn't really much of a factor in the series as well. So you can kind of hope you hope that they can able to run it back and kind of see where it goes. Miami, I really don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy is wanting to run it back, but he might be trying to look somewhere else. And there's possibilities that people might be trying to go after him. People saying, "Oh, what if he goes back to Philly?" I'm like,
Philadelphia, yeah.
I don't know. And then who's the other team? We got Milwaukee, Philly, and
Miami. Yeah, that was the only three.
If Philly, you got Embiid, you got Maxey. Everybody else is like, I don't know. All of it just boils down to health. Like everybody just got hurt at the worst possible time, and like it kind of sucks. But are these guys going to be healthy going into next year? How can they sustain that throughout the season? They just got to figure out what's going to go on, and we're just going to see how it plays out from there. So that's pretty much it about those teams, though.
Evan, go ahead. I just want to say real quick, PJ Tucker, I think he could have done them some justice instead of on the Clippers. I think they gave up a little bit too much right there. Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, I think, along the lines of Milwaukee, I mean, obviously this team is different with Giannis, right? I mean, they got bounced the year before when he got hurt and sent Miami on a catapult, to the NBA Finals with, like JR kind of mentioned, all their guys clicking at the right time. I don't know if their team was that good, but they did make a finals appearance. So, hey, props to them. But they got rid of those guys, right? They lost those role players outside of Martin, who wasn't the same guy this year in the first round as he was last year in the playoffs. And that's more so who he is as a player. He's a good player. He was good in Nevada. He's a solid NBA role player, but he's not going to carry you to the finals every season as a third or fourth scorer. So I think Milwaukee runs it back. You need Giannis healthy. I think they were finding a little bit more defensive identity. I don't trust Doc Rivers, but I think they got enough pieces there and an ownership group that'll find a way to bring in some guys. But you still got a pretty good core there. Philly, yes, Tobias Harris. I mean, take your $30 million, whatever you're making, and score 0 points in an elimination game. That's a big problem. But outside of Tobias, when Embiid's healthy, that Sixers team's record is as good as almost anybody in the NBA. And they're not getting rid of Embiid, but can they stay healthy enough to make a run ever? I don't know. I don't think they're that far away. Embiid came back and he was gassed. He had missed so much time. He couldn't play 40-plus minutes. He already can't really do that, right? He missed his games. So I just don't know. They're not that far away with what they have. I just don't know if what they have can get them there with Embiid being the anchor as good as he is when he's fully healthy. But I think, unloading Harris. Hill, I don't know, man. He played great that game. He was great the year before. He went to Philly and just kind of disappeared. Whether that's Nick Nurse not finding a role, but maybe they revamp things. But, I think, get rid of Harris, bring somebody in. I think Philly's right there, but it's Embiid's health, right? And Miami, I think they'll, like I said, they don't have the same role players that they had. They didn't have Jimmy Butler. But, you trust Pat Riley, you trust Eric Spoelstra to go out and make some moves to at least get them to a place where in an Eastern Conference that's pretty wide open for the most part to make deep runs right now. Whether Boston is that good or not, I think they are. The separation is real. I don't think they're good enough to beat these great teams in the West, especially without Porzingis. But outside of them, the next best team in the East with no healthy Giannis, no healthy Embiid, it's anybody's show. So give me Jimmy Butler back, bring in a couple guys, and trust in Riley and Spoelstra. Like you said, Iggy, they've made as many finals, if not more than anybody in the last 20 years. So I think you got to trust in what they do there, that they'll at least, put a core together that has a chance. And like I said, the East is pretty wide open. So run it back with Milwaukee. Miami, find a couple role players that make them more of a consistent team, not having to click like JR said. And Philly, ship out Harris, bring in somebody else, make a decision with Hield, and cross your fingers that Embiid stays healthy.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think, like I said, I stick by Giannis is running the Milwaukee franchise into the ground. I'm not sure Damian Lillard's going to be there. I'm not sure Chris Middleton's going to be there. And it's going to put a lot of pressure on Giannis to stay healthy. And he's a big guy. Sometimes big guys, when they start getting hurt, they stay hurt. We saw that with Yao Ming. But I do think I think it'd be interesting if Jimmy went to Orlando and then Damian went to Miami. And they could somehow get KD to swing over there in Miami as well, trying to improve his legacy. But I think KD needs to go to OKC and do what LeBron did to get his respect. If he wins a championship with OKC, he'll get the same respect LeBron did. But yeah, the East is wide open. I don't know who. Somebody's going to make the splash this summer. You can guarantee that. And there's going to be some big moves. All right, let's spend about a minute talking about our favorite series of round 2. There's only going to be 4 of them, so I'll hop out of this one. Roxanne, you can go first, and then we'll go Rico, JR, and we'll end with Evan. And Evan, if you're not here, I'll take whichever
Our favorite series? I have to pick something better than the Nuggets-Wolves?
No, heck no. I want you to talk about this. That's why I started off with you, because I was.
You got first pick, so you got first pick, Roxanne.
Well,
Exacto, come on now.
It's going to be the Nuggets and Wolves, obviously.
Right.
I don't think this is in the bag for Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota should get we have this in the bag after last night. We know what we're doing, because I don't think the Nuggets thought they were going to be as physical as they were for whatever reason. I don't know why. But I think the Nuggets have got to stand up a little more. They got to play a little harder. It's such a good series. I've said this all along, waiting for Minnesota to get here. We were tied for the year. We both won 2 games each throughout the year. We beat them last year. We're in their heads. They come in, they freaking win the first game all of a sudden. Now who's in whose head? You know,
Right? No, I agree.
this is going to be so good. Turn it on, people. That's all I'm telling you. As a Nuggets fan, I'm going to step out and say anybody should be watching this series because these two teams are battling each other. They have history. It's going on. And now Minnesota has came in and won in our house, and we're pissed.
And we will. Shout out to JC for hosting the watch party for Game 1 yesterday.
Yeah.
You guys keep a lookout for Game 2.
Sorry I couldn't join. I will be there tomorrow.
Yeah, that was fun. Big game tomorrow. I think it'll be a good series. You got the MVP versus the Defensive Player of the Year,
right.
most electrifying Player of the Year, and the Sixth Man of the Year. Playing this playoff assassin name is Jamal Murray. Rico, go ahead, man. What series are you most excited about, and why? Oh, unmute yourself.
You're
man.
muted.
Unmute yourself. It's all good.
I went back and forth between a couple of these series, but I think I'm gonna go with the Mavericks and the Thunder. My second one was actually gonna be the Pacers Knicks, but I feel like I like Mavericks Thunder just because of the point guard matchup between Luka / Kyrie against Shea. I feel like that's gonna be a matchup to look forward to. I understand Luka's had some demons he's had to slay in the last couple of years, so I'm curious to see how well they are able to play against this OKC team who is young and hungry. And you look at them as a whole, I mean, obviously they got, an MVP finalist in SGA. They got a Rookie of the Year finalist in Chet. You look at the rest of the roster, Giddey, Dort, like they're the one seed for a reason. I understand it was down to the wire at the end of the regular season, but I feel like this is going to be one of those games, one of these series that's going to be back and forth. I understand that the Mavericks won their series in 6, and the Thunder swept. The Thunder swept the Pelicans. So obviously, it's going to be a different result on that front. Obviously, there's not going to be a sweep here in this series. If there was, I'd be surprised. But I think like guard matchup is going to be something special to look at. And if Kyrie is able to cook like he did in the first round, and Luka can kind of get going too, then I would be hard pressed to see the Mavericks losing the series.
Hey, Kyrie looks happy, man. He looks like he's been accepted in Dallas by Mark Cuban, and he fits in well. Go ahead. Who you look? You got the West is best, JR. You got to pick a Eastern Conference battle. What you looking at?
That's not hard. I'm picking whoever is going to end up playing Boston.
Okay. Why?
Huh. Well, outside of me saying Buck Foston, all my Lakers love. I'm trying to see. Let's see if what happens in today's game for Game 7 transitions and translates to the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Every season for the last 3 seasons, we've seen Boston fall asleep at the wheel and fall asleep to, on paper, a subpar team.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if this happens again this series, because we all put the odds favorite for Boston to get into the finals for this season.
Mm-hmm.
This is supposed to be Boston's year. They are the number 1 overall team. Let's see them pull it off. And if there's a team that's going to slow them down, it's going to be in one of the next 2 series. They're not going to sleepwalk through this playoffs. Miami woke them up. They know that they got to play basketball. And JB knows that even though they won the series, they got to do better.
Yeah, they really do. Evan, are you still there with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so that means you got Knicks Pacers, and then just go ahead and lead us right into the bets after that.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you took Celtics, whoever wins, because that's the least exciting series, because the Celtics will have no problem with whoever they play. We disagree on that. I got Celtic sports hate, if you will, running through my blood. Not real hate, just that Laker love. Miami made 23 threes that one game. They made 33 the rest of the series. Boston dominated. They only made 12 the game they lost. I mean, that happens sometimes. Orlando and Cleveland don't have the offense to beat that team. Obviously, Porzingis hurts. But anyway, Pacers-Knicks, man, we're talking about a Knicks team that clearly can play defense. We know they can score with Brunson, but they struggle to score with everybody else. But Indiana's defense is not Philly's defense. We're getting a high-powered offense and a physical Knicks team. And again, this was some 90s clashes too, man. Different makeups, right? This isn't Charles Oakley and Rick Smits, but we're getting some physicality in New York. I mean, what's going to win out? Can the Knicks find a way to expose can they make shots, right? Brunson can get in and attack this Indiana defense. Can DiVincenzo and these guys make shots throughout the series to beat Indiana? Because they'll have their chance offensively, and I think they're good enough defensively to kind of contain what Indiana does. But if Indiana's able to step up and play defense, they got a chance to win this series. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what gives. I think that's an exciting battle, right? Like what wins out there. And we get to see Halliburton in the second round. We get to see Brunson, who's just been phenomenal, right? We mentioned, can Ant score 40 a night? Brunson's doing it, but can he keep doing it as the series gets deeper? Like I said, Indiana not as good defensively. So I think that's an exciting series, man. You know, it's vintage throwback as well. So we'll see what gives. But I think the Knicks can knock down shots consistently with their role players. They'll find a way to win that series because they have the better defense. But maybe Indiana can step up. So, yeah, that's all I got.
All right, do you have any bet today?
No, I love like I mentioned, you know, I love the home role players. I think Strus, you know, Roxanne mentioned Strus threes, like it's juiced at 1.5, but like that should be no problem. A Strus ladder play would probably be a nice way to go. Taking 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, and banking on the 3-point shooter on the home team in a series where the home team has won every game, and a guy that plays better at home and a guy that's a streaky shooter. Those are the guys. Those are the 3-point props we want, man. So I love Strus. I don't know what Mitchell's points line is, but the volume's going to be there, and I'm sure it's a chalky play. But I think
28.5.
I mean, 30 at home, he's done that, I think, like 15 out of 18 games, and he just dropped 50, and now it's a must win. I think there's nothing wrong with playing that. I know, you know, chalky community plays aren't always the favorite, but especially if no Jared Allen, like Mitchell's got to take 30-plus shots. You know, but looking at Evan Mobley, you know, I mean, he's got to show up too. I think, you know, first quarter props on Mobley are probably good. I don't know if you're looking at it, Roxanne, what Mobley's first quarter point line is or rebound line. I think they come out and get Mobley involved right out the gate, and that opens up that kick out to Strus, right? Take a little pressure off Mitchell. So outside of that, I don't know, man. It's hard to trust, you know, some of these young guys on Orlando on the road. I think the volume for Suggs will be there, like Roxanne mentioned. But outside of that, man, it's hard to take some young players on the road in this game that they'll knock down shots and play big in a game 7. That worries me a little bit. So I'd stay kind of away from Orlando's side just for that reason.
Mobley's first quarter points are 3.5 is all.
I think Mobley hits that. I think they go right to him.
Do you have any other wagers, Roxanne? I got a couple, but I just want to see if you had any first.
I was going to bring up the ladder on Strus. I was definitely planning on doing that. I would even go to 3. You could take I like that first quarter points with Mobley. That's very intriguing. 1 3-pointer, 1 basket in, you're done, right? I mean, he's got 12 minutes to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like the first quarter props on itself as well. I was really banking on Jonas Valanciunas. Well, I kind of went opposite. You know, I got Orlando winning this game, so I went ahead and placed them on the money line. I just think they got the athleticism, they got the rebounding skills, they get to the free throw line more. I think that's going to be part of it. The big part of it's going to be Paolo Banchero, man. He's a guy, bro. He's going to be the next big American stud. I was happy when he was the first overall pick to Orlando because Orlando really is historically a great drafting franchise. But here's my wager on him. This has been boosted to plus 210. You can find it around plus 190 if you don't boost it. And it's Paolo Banchero over 25 points, over 3 assists. He's had 3 or more assists in every game of this series, and over 7 rebounds. He's had 8, 8, 14 in his last 3 or 4 games, and he scored 27, 39, 31 in his last 3 or 4 games as well. So I think that's a great one. I put a unit on. I know most of the time I don't put a unit on same game parlays, but I just felt like it was too good. I think he's going to be a closeout. He knows he's risen up to the occasion. He's going to be able to do it again, I think. So that's all I got.
Real quick, because I don't really get that much for something I just looked at. Obviously, you look at Donovan Mitchell. He's going to be looking to score in this game, obviously, because game 7 is in Cleveland. I would also look at Darius Garland possibly. I understand it's a little bit iffy on this one. His points total is sitting at 18.5, but I mean, I feel like in a game 7 like this, if Donovan isn't able to get going, I feel like Darius can kind of try to pick up the slack, and I feel like he could probably get 18.5. So I'd probably pick that one up too as well.
Mitchell's banged up too, so Garland, they've been running him at the point a little bit more, trying to give Mitchell a little bit of rest. Any other comments from anybody before we get out of here today?
Hey, I'll throw on Garland real quick. On Garland, points and assists might be a way to combo that too. I mean, he had 5 quick the other night and kind of got stuck there, but he needs to facilitate for this team too. So points and assist combo might be a good way to make up, for both sides. He could easily drop 10 assists in this game. They might need him to, right? Like you said, handle the ball. So I like that, though. And I will say, Iggy, Banchero's definitely the guy if you're going to bet on Orlando. No Jared Allen. He's fully exposed, being able to get his way,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are pretty much his averages in this series. That's why I took him. JR, did you have something to say?
Yeah, just real quick before we get out of here, 3 big things. First of all, again today, big game 7. So we're not going to be watching it. We're probably going to be out at the park today. But again, you guys make sure to enjoy that game today. Pete, we didn't get to your comment about the Bulls, but we are going to get a full offseason discussion here later on towards when we get closer to the summer. But one quick thing I do want to say about your Bulls is to make sure to look out for how they retool at the guard position, because that was where they got the most value out of their guys. Of course, the big man position just is kind of a dime a dozen. There's not really a lot of guys out there that are going to be available for you guys. Got a lot of space, got a lot of money, but not a lot of time to do it because, and my last point, we still have Paris, France, the Olympics this summer. We're talking about the health of every single NBA player, and we're not going anywhere here at TSA Hoops, okay? Yeah. We still got hoops this summer to play, and we talk about the legacy of LeBron James, the legacy of all these other players. There are 13 guys on this squad who got legacies to hold up this season.
You're going to hear a lot of people talking about teaming up during this time frame, too, so be on the lookout. People want to talk about it.
Yeah, they're going to be good. It's probably going to be it's probably going to be a rematch of the last Olympic finals, France versus USA. I don't see how it can be anything unless Luka can will his way with Slovenia. We'll see about that. Hey, I just want to say, Murray, we need you. We need you tomorrow, Murray. So come on out, we got to have you.
Come on, Jamal, let's go.
If you guys need something fun to watch tonight, they are roasting Tom Brady on Netflix.
That's tonight. Yeah.
Is going to be there. So,
yeah,
good call.
Hey, I do want to say, go check that out. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe just if you enjoyed this show. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. As always, get your comments in however you can. We'll get them up here. We'll get them up there. We love interacting. TSA is all about positivity and inclusiveness. And if you want to be a part of it, please just reach out. Go follow our Discord as well. We got a free bet every day. Evan, Roxanne have been killing it lately, especially Roxanne with the hockey prop. She's been on fire lately. So get that. You also got Jokic last night, Roxanne. You told me to take his points. I shouldn't have parlayed it. I should have just not been greedy and took the points. We would have been a lot better. But, hey, thank you all for being here. Roxanne, thanks for hopping on. JR, Rico, Evan, as always. And we'll be back next Sunday, same time, same place. And we'll be talking about how good the Nuggets have been and how come we're up in the series, all right? All right, guys, I'll take care. I'll see y'all soon.